The first time I saw Alexandra Vale, she wasn't just entering a room, she was commanding one. She walked into the board meeting with the precision of someone who had been trained her whole life to expect attention. Every eye followed the click of her heels, the fall of her dark hair over her crisp white blouse, the way she ordered silence without saying a word. This was the woman I had been hired to assist. I'd read about her. CEO of Vale Tech, self-made billionaire, ice in her tone, fire in her ambition. A woman who built empires because she refused to belong to anyone's. But they never wrote about the way she actually looked at you, as if she could read your pulse before you even sat down. "Emma, right?" she said, glancing at the folder in my hands without looking up. "Yes, ma'am." "Don't call me ma'am." Her voice was low, controlled. "Call me Alexandra, or nothing at all." I nodded, suddenly aware of how loud my heart was. I wasn't supposed to be intimidated. I wasn't supposed to notice her perfume, jasmine, clean, warm. I wasn't supposed to notice the way she leaned over the table or the curve of her wrist when she signed papers with that elegant silver pen. But I did. Every detail, every breath. And it scared me. Because Alexandra was a woman who lived behind walls, and I was someone who felt everything too deeply. But still, she noticed me. The days turned into a rhythm. Her voice calling my name, her footsteps pacing behind me, her hand brushing mine when passing documents, her presence like a current, magnetic, unrelenting. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't warm. She was controlled. Too controlled. She worked late, always. I stayed because she preferred someone nearby in case decisions needed making. Translation: she didn't want to be alone. One night, as the city lights shimmered behind her office windows, she said something that felt like a confession wrapped in a command. "You're distracting," she murmured. I froze. Did I do something wrong? No. She looked up, eyes sharp and tired. "You're distracting because you appear calm when you're not, and that makes me wonder what you're hiding." "I'm not hiding anything." Her gaze softened for the first time, and it was dangerous. "Everyone hides something, Emma." Another night, another late hour, another storm of paperwork scattered across her desk. "You're staring again," she said without looking up. "No," I lied. "Don't lie to me," she whispered. She stood and walked toward me, slow, deliberate, like a woman who had spent years choosing every move with surgical precision. Her fingers touched the stack of documents I was holding, barely touching mine. "Why do you look at me like that?" she asked. "I don't know," I managed. But I did know. Of course I knew. She was powerful, stunning, unreachable, and yet somehow she was letting me in. Her eyes dropped to my lips, just for a second, a flicker. Then she stepped back, walls slamming shut again. She said, "I need you focused, not emotional." But her voice cracked the tiniest bit on the last word, and that crack was enough to break me open. I stepped closer. She didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't stop me. "You want control," I whispered. "But you can't control me like you control everything else." Her breath shivered, the first sign of surrender I ever saw from her. "No, I can't." She turned away then, fast, like she had pushed herself too close to a cliff. "Go home, Emma." But when I reached the door, she whispered something soft, something almost broken. "Please." That was the night I realized the truth. Alexandra Vale didn't want control. She wanted someone who could see her without fear. She wanted someone who wouldn't walk away. She wanted someone who could touch the parts of her life she kept locked away. And somehow, She wanted me.
The next morning, she avoided me, not with coldness, but with tension, like her thoughts were wild horses she couldn't rein in. "Emma," she finally said after hours of silence, "come to my office, now." I walked in. The air felt charged. Alexandra stood by the window, city glowing behind her like a crown of light. She didn't turn when she said, "I don't lose control, ever." I didn't speak. I waited. But last night, her voice cracked. "I haven't felt something like that in a long time." "Is that bad?" I asked softly. She turned slowly, her eyes full of a storm she couldn't name. "It's dangerous." "For who?" "For me." She took a shaky breath, and for the first time, she looked scared. Not of me, of herself. "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to want someone without ruining it, without ruining them." I stepped closer, gently, delicately, like approaching a wounded flame. "You're not going to ruin me," I said. "You don't know that. I do." I reached out, just my fingertips, and touched her hand. She inhaled sharply, like the smallest touch was too much, too intimate, too revealing. "Emma," she whispered, a warning and a plea tangled together. "You wanted control," I murmured, "but you don't need it with me." Her eyes filled, not with tears, but with relief. Slowly, painfully slowly, she lifted her hand and intertwined her fingers with mine. Her voice was barely a breath. "I'm terrified." "I know." She let out a shudder. "I don't know how to love gently." "Then let me teach you." Her breath broke, and then she kissed me. Not like a woman in power, not like a CEO known for dominance, not like someone used to commanding the world. She kissed me like someone who had never been allowed softness, like someone who didn't know she was allowed to want, like someone who had been strong for too long and finally found someone safe enough to fall apart with. Hours later, we sat on her office couch, legs tangled, glasses abandoned on the table, hearts beating too close. She rested her forehead against mine. "This scares me," she whispered. "I know. But I don't want to stop." "Then don't." She smiled, small, real, the kind no photographer had ever captured. "I've always wanted control, but with you," she slid her fingers along my jaw, softer than anything she had ever touched. "With you, I want honesty. And you have it," I whispered. She closed her eyes, breathing like someone finally exhaling after years of holding in the world. "You gave me your heart, and I didn't even know how to hold it." "Learn," I murmured. "With me." She nodded, once, slow, reverent. And in that moment, Alexandra Vale, CEO, billionaire, impossible woman, finally let go of her armor. Not because she lost control, but because she trusted me enough to know she didn't need it.